I remember a few years ago, if there's another female artist, it's kind of like, I have to be better than her.
Yeah.
But now it's like you love each other and you support each other. And I've never seen so much support from other female artists than now.
It's Cassie, and I am here with singer, songwriter, and musician Lights.
Pretend there's cheering in the background.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited you are here.
I'm so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, and first of all, Lisa is not here because she is on vacation with her husband for her anniversary. So nice. I'm taking this on all by myself.
Let's do it. I'm also in her chair probably.
You are in her chair.
So there'd be no room for her.
Oh my gosh.
I guess I have to fill some big shoes over here.
No, well, oh my gosh, I am so impressed with everything that you do. First of all, I love
Likewise, though, can I say?
Aw, thanks, Lights. Thank you.
This is a very fitting podcast.
Oh, well, okay, you are a Shiro, and we will definitely get into all of that. But I just cannot believe, well, I mean, I do believe, but you do everything yourself. And I have so much respect for that. You don't slap your name on the things that you produce. You are a girl boss.
Oh, thank you.
And in a field where it's super male dominated.
Yeah, in a lot of respects. I mean, not only in music, especially music behind the scenes, but in the comic world that I'm starting to break into with the new project. The ratio of female to male creators is pretty low. It's something that's obviously increasing every year, but you do see a majority of men, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just backtrack to before the comics, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the music.
Yes.
So talk to me about how do you even begin writing a song? What does it take to get inspired?
It's different all the time, depending on... A song can be written 1,000 ways. Like, a good percentage of my songs are written just with some extreme outpouring of emotion. Say I'm really sad. Like, sadly, some of the best songs come in emotional tumult. So they say the catch-22 of being an artist, you always kind of have to be depressed. You always want drama because that's what's inspiring you, right?
Yeah.
I'm learning ways around that, thankfully. But, yeah, some of my best songs have come just sitting on a hotel floor with my guitar and playing. And when it's that situation, it would be like playing some chords. And I've been playing guitar for a long time. I picked up guitar when I was 11.
Wow.
So it's almost like it's like another body part to me. And I just kind of flow. You get into the zone, you start playing, you start humming melodies, whatever moves you.
Yeah.
And then start spewing poetry and putting words together and writing in your notebook. Like In the Dark I See, Cactus in the Valley, to name a couple of songs that were written that way.
Wow.
Came from just sitting on the floor in my room. But then in other, you can't sit there on the floor with an acoustic and write a song like Up We Go, like which was a single off my last record, or even Giants. Like it's just a different emotion that's being pushed, and you need to access different instrumentation and different almost teamwork to make those things happen. So in a lot of situations, I'll be in a session with another writer. We'll be pacing around. We'll start with a beat. And I'll have an idea of where I want to go lyrically, and then you just start carving it out. It's just basically like literally you start with this big boulder and you're just whittling it down the whole time.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you mentioned that sometimes singers and songwriters like to be in a state of like emotional sadness or distress to be able to write, and you said you work around that. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's funny, like I've been in the place as an artist where you're kind of subconsciously always looking for sadness because that is where you feel you need music the most.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
It's true. Yeah.
And I think a lot of people rely on music for that reason, but it can be a vicious cycle because you're always then in that place looking to be healed and looking for music to heal you.
Yeah.
And that's like not necessarily a healthy vicious cycle, right?
No, it's not.
I mean, I've found different ways to be inspired, and this actually new project has been such a beautiful thing for me because I basically came up with the storyline before I wrote any of the songs, and I was able to go into a session and be like, this is the part of the story where this happens, and that's exactly what we need to write about today. So I'm almost like shunting the basically pressures of pouring yourself out onto a character, where it's actually me speaking of the experiences and me pulling from my own thoughts and emotional cycles, but able to blame it on another character. So
Right,
I'm
right.
like, I want to write about, sex today, or I want
Right.
to write about a fight.
Uh-huh.
And these are all things that I've experienced, but, wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable talking about
Like
in a
as
session with a
lights.
stranger.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
lights, like pouring out as a personal experience.
Right.
I'm like, this character is like doing this right now, and we need to talk about this. So you're able to just like channel your creativity into an outlet that isn't necessarily all coming from your heart and burning
Right.
a hole in your soul. You know what I
Right.
mean?
So tell me the difference between this character and who Lights is. Like, how is
It's a
she
good question.
different?
She, I kind of say she's me in another dimension because
Uh-huh.
ultimately we look the same. Like
Mm-hmm.
we respond to situations the same, and she has a potty mouth like I do. Like she's a lot like me, but she of course lives in another world. She lives in like this future post-apocalyptic world where
Mm-hmm.
everything is different than the world I live, and the people she knows are different, and her mother, her story is different than mine. Her life is different than mine. But in terms of personality, I think if I was like reincarnated in this world, that would be me.
Ah,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. And for those of you who don't know, this is for your 4th album,
Yeah.
Skin and Earth.
Yeah, it comes with a comic. It's like this massive project. Everything's tied in. Like each issue, there's 6 issues of the comic.
Uh-huh.
Each issue has but 2 songs that are like related to it. So the song title is the chapter title as well, and then there's lyrics in the dialogue.
Yeah.
And then the mood of that chapter influences the mood of that song, and vice versa. So it all really worked in tandem creating the project.
That is really smart because I hear that a lot of artists these days have an issue with people actually listening to their entire album because they don't
point.
see the story. It's top on Spotify or whatever, so you just listen to that. You don't care about
you
the
listen
rest
to
of
what's
it.
playlisted, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But here you're telling them you need to follow along with the story. Here's almost like the movie soundtrack for
Yeah.
what's going on. I think that
Absolutely.
is so creative. Great marketing strategy. How
Thank
did you come
you.
up with that?
Well, honestly, it's just something I've always wanted to exist. Like, as a fan of comics and music, I'm like, why doesn't someone make an album with the comic? Like, why hasn't this happened?
Wait, so how long have you wanted this to happen?
Like, forever.
Forever, so
But
you
it just
always
doesn't
wanted to do
exist,
this.
right? Like, and it's happened in some form or another. Like, Coheed and Cambria have done comics with their music to a certain degree. Gerard Way from My Cam writes comics and ties in worlds and stuff with his music. But I never saw it in the degree that I kind of wanted it. Like, an album that's like a story that's still really solid songs that can stand on their own, but comes with a comic that follows along with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, why doesn't someone do it?
Guess
Guess I got to do it. I don't know how, but I'm going to do it.
And that's how it always
it's
is.
how it started. And,
yeah.
and the amazing thing is like, I didn't know how to do it. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm doing it. And I knew that if I started on that path of creating this, I would have to see it through to the end. So I went to YouTube University, man.
I love learning everything on YouTube
I
and
learned
Google.
everything. Like, I watched webinars and tutorials and read books and online stalked some of my favorite artists and writers and asked for advice and just built this thing from the ground up. And like I was telling you before this, like, if you would have showed me this comic 2 years ago and be like, did you know you did this? I would have been been in disbelief. Like,
Look at this.
I couldn't believe what we're capable of when we put the time in. As humans, like, we immediately, when we have a dream and a vision, we shoot ourselves down immediately because we're afraid of failing at it, right? I have this great idea. I could never do that, though. And we don't give ourselves the benefit of actually completing it and putting the work in.
Exactly.
So we're capable of so much.
Exactly. And I always say failing is just learning.
And you know,
it.
that's such a
all
good
it
point.
is.
Some of the best advice I got going into this was there's no such thing as good writing, just rewriting. Just good rewriting. And
I read
that reminded me that it's like nothing starts out right.
And you just have to
fix
start.
it. You work it. You have to start.
Yeah, that's it.
somewhere. Like the first few pages of this, I did 3 different versions before I ended on the ones that we're at. So I scrapped it a few times and I put a lot of time in.
Oh my gosh. Well, for those of you who are not watching the YouTube video right now, I mean, this looks so professional.
Thank you.
This is beautiful. And you do look like your character with the red hair.
I was like, okay, I got to give her the comb over because I'm not going to make a character that I can't support
this.
in real life.
I actually really like her fashion. And I was on your Instagram and I saw that you were wearing a dress very similar to this to a music award show that your mom helped you make.
Yeah, everything's tied in, man. Like everything. I've spent a lot of time studying the fashion that would exist in this world that I've created. And why that fashion exists and what sort of features of that fashion are what she would wear.
Okay, so explain to me what fashion this is.
So it's all neutral tones and basically lots of layers. So the whole point is like there's no like piece that stands out. It's your eye is forced to look at the whole picture instead of just one item, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing that really stands out is the hair. And this is sort of a mundane, bleak world, and the fashion kind of goes along with it. But at the same time, there's a sexiness to it.
Yeah.
Because there's it's loose wraps and layers, but your leg will be sticking out, or it'll just be like draped over your leg, or it'll be open back, or it'll be low cut. It's just the way that I like to like wrap layers on myself is what kind of works its way into the story. But there's also a lot of distress in the materials because it's a post-apocalyptic world.
Right.
Everything's kind of faded out and ripped, and that's all, my pants literally don't exist right now. There's so many rips. So like it's obviously made its way into my fashion as well.
Oh my gosh. And okay, so it took you about 8 to 10 hours per page in the comic.
Yeah.
There's over 150 pages.
Yeah.
And you already, as a singer-songwriter and musician, illustrated and wrote your entire comic book.
I did every inch of that thing.
Everything.
Yeah.
You must be so proud.
I have to say, like, I never thought I would be capable of this, like I was saying, and it's been such an eye-opener for me. Now I feel like I can do anything, and I have all these ideas, and I've opened this, like, floodgate in my mind, and I'm like, it's given me insomnia, this project, because I have so many ideas, and I not for 1 second don't think I can do it now, you know?
Oh, my gosh.
So I think that, I've been really inspired along the way, and I'm really, I saw this in the flesh a couple nights ago, for the first time, and it was like the surreal moment because I put so much time in, and just seeing it in front of me was like, oh damn, this is real, you know?
That is so cool. And did you feel like this is something that you needed to do by yourself, or were you put in a position where you're like, okay, well, no one's gonna do it for me, so I'm gonna do it?
It was like a bit of both.
Okay.
But I'm glad the way that it was, because I think because I didn't know how to even begin a project like this, I was just like, well, who can I find that can do this? And you know, I didn't have the money and resources to find someone to do all the art.
And sometimes that's the best situation to
sometimes
be in.
you force yourself to complete it, to do the work yourself. And the writing, I didn't know how to approach. I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll draw it then, because I at least know I can draw, but I've never really written, so I got to find someone to write it. And then I reached for the stars and approached Brian K. Vaughan, who's an amazing comic writer, TV show writer now. And was like, I know he's not going to do it, but I'm going to ask him to do it.
Yeah.
And I did. And of course, he's like, you know, he only really works on projects that he's written. Because this sort of was already there. It already kind of existed. And he's like, he basically gave me the faith to believe I could do it myself. He's like, you're a writer, you can do this, try it. And so I'm like, Brian K. Vaughan said it, I can do it, you know? And he gave me a little bit of advice of how to like lay out pages and how to panel things and like paste things. And from there, I was like, all right, let's just do this.
I love that attitude, because I feel like there's so many people that have excuses, but those are your own personal excuses.
I think we're the ones that hold us back the most are ourselves.
Yeah, and our fear of failing,
That's
which
what it is.
just the natural part of life and of getting better.
Yeah.
If you already think you're the best, then you're probably not.
Yeah,
you got nowhere to
100%.
grow.
Yeah.
So you gotta fail.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, my dad telling me that there's this guitar player he loved called Phil Keaggy, and we'd watch Phil Keaggy videos and be like, you know, even Phil Keaggy doesn't think he's the best guitar player. I'm like, whoa, really? It just like boggled my mind. And now, you know, growing up and as a professional myself, I'm just like, you never think you're the best. Ever.
This is so true. I did a video with Lindsay Sterling.
Oh, cool. Love her.
A few months ago. I know. You guys are very similar in the sense that you have
She's
this
so
spirit
creative
about you.
too, yeah.
So creative. The hair is kind of the same. Well, now she's blonde. But you guys are just such light spirits. But what I was going to say is that I did a video a few months ago with Lindsay Sterling, and she says that she actually feels very insecure about her violin playing. And I know, right?
Crazy.
I know, right? And I sometimes feel insecure about my Pilates skills and my fitness skills, right? And we're all three of us professionals at what we do.
Yeah.
What do you feel insecure about?
Everything I do. And I mean, I wouldn't say insecure to the point of debilitating. Obviously, this is something that you do every day. And, and I think our insecurity only drives us to want to be better, and that's why we're constantly challenging ourselves. If you were fully confident in it, maybe you wouldn't enjoy it anymore. Maybe you wouldn't keep trying to reach for the next level. You get bored. You totally get bored. But yeah, that the truth is, like, I think my live performance and bringing the music to a live level is like something that's always kind of been something I've always wanted to be better at.
Yeah.
My production skills. I wish I could produce better. You know, I produce a lot of my stuff at the beginning levels, but I haven't spent the time on my music production skills to finish the product. So that's something else I wish I was better at. My art here, like, I wish I could be so much better at it.
Well, you know what? And that's why you're so good at what you do, because you always want to be better.
Yeah.
But right now, looking at this, this is amazing, and
Thank
you are
you.
amazing. I am completely like stunned by what you've done, especially
you.
the fact that you've never done this before, and that you learned it all from yourself and YouTube University.
Seriously, it's like, if it's in you to like put the time in, you can really accomplish
You can really
anything.
do it.
Yeah.
So, did you ever illustrate anything for your previous songs or albums, or is this the first time?
It's sort of made its way into my project, like comic art. Like my first bio ever was like this really poorly drawn, like, personal bio, and obviously my art's come a long way since then. So it's actually nice to look back and see that.
That is cool to see the growth.
Yeah. And then sort of my album art's always kind of had an influence of comic art, and my videos have always kind of have it. We did a little online series called Captain Lights a while ago that was illustrated by Tom Coker and written by Daniel Freeman, so I wasn't involved in the creation of that as much as sort of like the character, the voice of the character, the music in the background. So comic art and stuff has always made its way into what I do, but never to this degree and never this comprehensive of a project, you know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so when I was listening to one of your interviews last night, there was something that you said about your vocals that really took me aback, okay? So you mentioned that in your previous albums, you kind of held back on your vocals so that people in music production, or maybe just the industry in general, could take you more seriously as a musician, as a songwriter. But then in Skin and Earth, you decided to just diva it out, let it all shine. What I want to know is why you thought that holding back would make people think that you were more serious.
It's a good question. I grew up listening to the divas, right? I grew up listening to Celine Dion and Barbra Streisand and Mariah Carey, and that's like I learned to sing that way, and like big vocals and vocal gymnastics and all that stuff. And one thing I knew about those artists, though, was that was their strong suit. They were entertainers and they were singers. They didn't write, they didn't produce, they didn't have to because they were great singers, and that was okay. You know what I mean? And I never felt like I had a good enough voice to only be a singer. I thought I can't get away with, and I'm not like this curvy, vivacious, like beautiful woman. Like I was like, I've always been like a nerdy girl, so I was like, I don't have that either. So I have to like make sure that I have other strong suits, you know. And so I kind of shunned those aspects of myself to highlight the others.
Interesting.
And yeah, it was some kind of subconscious thing that was going on for me for a while. And I'm glad I did in the long run, because it did help me carve out my style. Where, you know, it was like lo-fi production, and like I was trying to focus on the fact that I do write and I do produce. And a lot of those early songs, I did produce some of them on my own to the finish. I wrote them and did a lot of it myself. And I think there's this strange, not so much these days, but there's a sort of a misconception that if you do pop music, that you don't really do it. You know, if you're a pop female, that you there's a million 40-year-old men involved in the tracks, and you're the one who sings it.
You know, I didn't even know that until like 5 years ago.
Isn't that funny?
Right?
Like, and people aren't really aware of it. They just kind of assume that these artists do everything themselves, I guess, but or you just don't think about it.
You don't really think about it, and
Yeah.
now I really understand when you say songwriter. That is singer-songwriter. That is a completely different thing than being a singer.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot more to it. Like I don't just show up at a session, cut my vocals, and leave.
Right.
Like a song takes days of labor for me. You know what I mean? Like writing, deliberating over a lyric, coming up with a melody, changing things, caring so much about every word. Making sure the drum sound is right and that I'm happy with the way this turned out. Like there's a lot more to it than just going in and singing a track. Which there's nothing wrong with that, but I never felt like I was a strong enough vocalist or entertainer necessarily to make that my only thing. Like I always felt like I had to have more. So over time, I strengthened those other skills more. And then now that I'm sort of in this place where I can, I feel confident enough in all areas that I can go back to like layering on these diva vocals, like soulful vocals, and like, you know.
That is so...
mixing everything back in.
That is really so interesting.
Now, I've also come into my own as like a woman, I feel like. So
Yes.
I've always been this like nerdy girl, and now I'm like a nerdy woman.
Oh, nerdy woman.
And I'm like, you know what? Now I'm like sexiness too now.
Oh
Still
my
not that
gosh.
sexy,
But do you feel like you had to hold back your vocals and work on your skills? Do you think it was almost like a female in a male industry type thing, or was it something else? Like,
Well,
who were you
that
trying to get-
definitely plays
Yeah.
in, and I you know, the question always comes up like, what's it like being a girl in the music industry? You know,
Yeah.
and it's like,
What is it like?
I mean, there are behind the scenes, it's mostly men.
Uh-huh.
And it is something that needs to be remedied, and I will do all that I can with my daughter to seed in the desire to get into that side of it. Because the fact is, if you see it, you can be it. There's no
Yep.
very few role models in music production and tech, the tech side of things that
Yeah.
make young girls want to do it. Right? They're being fed all kinds of like, all kinds of artistic stuff that's geared towards like fashion and makeup and those kind of things. But there's no tech stuff really being geared to young women. And I think that's why they just aren't interested, you know? Like, I know growing up for me, like, tech was always, like, tough for me to grasp because I don't feel like I was afforded the grid for it when I was young.
Right. Nobody said, hey, this is what you can do. This
girls
is cool.
can do engineering and girls can do
Right.
science and girls can do this. It's like, that's not really fed to 10 and under girls. So that establishes your interests at a young age, and then you go from there. So girls get into music, but they're sort of musicians and they're performers, but they're not necessarily getting in behind the scenes, and that's really showing itself right now because I have done countless recording sessions and writing sessions that have all been amazing, but 1% of them have been with girls.
Yeah.
Maybe less.
Even in like on set and filming stuff.
Behind the scenes, probably, yeah.
All men in black.
Yeah,
Literally.
right?
Yeah. I saw like one girl who was like doing the slate or something like
Yeah,
that.
you're like,
the
hey,
clapper.
you're in this
And I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah, I
I'm
know.
good for you.
Like,
Like,
we'll have, you know,
I got
you'll-
so excited.
yeah, and you just
Yeah.
don't see it that often. I know it's something that's changing, and I think we need to be conscious of what we're feeding young women because that's where it all starts, and that's where they're the most impressionable, where you plant those interests. Because there's lots of materials out there for teens and 20 plus, you know, but they've already established their grid for what they
Right.
want for the most part.
Right.
Anyways, going back to what we were talking about, being a girl in the industry, it's not like I've never had any like for the most part haven't had any like weird sexist experiences.
Okay.
Like
That's
you'll
good.
run into, you know, local crew guys at venues that don't take you seriously, don't think you know how to set up your gear, but it's just like that's also just being a grumpy older person who's like never got to achieve their dreams or whatever. But so you see a bit of that, but otherwise it's just you just grow used to the fact that like there just aren't that many girls.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna keep going, and I think that sort of subliminally, the assumption that if you're a girl you don't do it is there.
Yeah. So
If you're a girl you don't produce, and that's why I was like, I have to prove that that I do produce and that I do write, and that's why I'm gonna hide all of the things that the girls will typically do, so that I can prove that I do this stuff. You know, that is probably a direct result of the ratio of men to women.
very interesting. So now that you have a daughter, Rocket Wild,
Yeah.
and you have this experience with being a strong woman in a male-dominated field, how does that affect the way that you're raising her and the toys that you buy, the clothes that you buy even?
I think about it all the time, honestly, and I'm actually hyper aware of like the stuff that's being marketed towards her. And of course, that doesn't stop me from letting her watch TV or playing on her iPad. I'm just watching her interact with it and seeing what's affecting her and learning more than anything as I go. And that's why I'm more hyper aware of it, because I'm like, why is that an interest of hers? Where did she see that? You know, like, and so in my head, I'm like, I need to develop an app for music production that targets young women, you know, so that they have an interest. I'm just trying to think of ways that can remind her that this is for her too, you know?
Right.
And I've scoured the app stores for things like that, and it just doesn't exist.
Well,
you know?
I think you have to make it just like the comic.
It's in my head. I've got the idea in there. And it's an important thing, and I'm conscious of trying to keep her, and I do catch myself sometimes too with the things that I think she's interested in, because I love princesses and like fantasy worlds and stuff. So I'm always like interested in that stuff with her, but then I always forget, like, oh, she needs blocks too, and she needs trucks, and she needs stuff that reminds her that those are career paths that she can have as well.
Wow. So going back into music industry land, how did it feel? And I'm really going to go back far. So tell me actually, what was your childhood dream? as a kid?
It was always music and cartooning, and that's
that's
the
what
brass
you're doing
tacks of it.
now.
I know, it's crazy. Like, there was 3 career paths. The number one for me was music. And I was always in the back of my mind like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. In retrospect, it's an unrealistic dream because, like, it's the chances that you're going to make it a career are pretty rare. But to me, I was like, it's going to happen. It's going to be my career. So, like, that was always my plan A. But then everyone tells you need a plan B, so it was, like, law school.
Oh, that is so different.
Yeah, I know, which I'm glad I didn't end up doing because I probably wouldn't like it. I mean,
how interesting.
There's, pretty limited creativity in law school.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's very by the books.
Yeah,
like the most by the books
literally.
thing
Yeah,
ever.
you can't not be by the books.
Yeah.
And then the third career path for me was cartooning. So I was actually looking into taking cartooning programs and stuff because I always made little comics when I was a kid. Like, I had this really morbid character called Monty the Frog.
Okay, what was Monty the Frog?
Monty was like this little frog. He's like a ball with like stick legs and arms and like big eyes.
Yeah.
And like I would make Monty was an orphan who like ended up dying at the end of every story, and it was like really morbid. It was horrible, and he would get like delimbed and like diced, and I was just like a weird kid.
Oh my god!
And I know, and I would draw all the pictures, and it wasn't like it was cute. It was like kind of cute. The big eyelashes.
That is so funny.
But
because,
it was really dark.
My boyfriend actually started playing Mortal Kombat like a month ago, and I cannot watch the screen because they delimb everybody.
What Mortal Kombat is that?
I don't know, this one that looks really real and there's like blood all over the screen. I literally have to turn around and like be in my computer because I really like cannot handle very much. Game of Thrones is not happening for me. Hunger Games is a horror movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very
interesting. That's so funny. Yeah. I was like into like morbid, weird cartoons when I was a kid, and there was always like a level of darkness to the stuff that I created, even when it was cute. So there's like always that juxtaposition, and that followed through with my music, like sad tones underlying happy music or fantastical sounds with like a dark underlying layer, and that continues through to most of my work aesthetically as well.
Interesting. And you're always about bringing the light and the positivity through the darkness.
100%. Right? That's the whole black and white of life, I guess. Like,
yes.
We're just wandering through life and wanting to find that one thing that keeps us going. And that's actually what this whole comic's about. And that's what Giants, the single, is about. It's like fighting the mundane to believe in bigger things, and it's something that I actually believe in more than ever now.
Wow. And is there a reason why that's something that you believe in so much?
That's what keeps us going as humans.
Yeah.
Like, that's what sets us apart from all the other animals, I suppose, is the always reaching for more, always trying to fulfill. I mean, who knows? Maybe my cat has like a dream in life to like be a like mountain cat or something. I don't know. Like, maybe they have dreams too, but I don't know if like animals try to achieve their dreams like humans do.
Or if they're just trying to survive.
Or if they're just trying to survive and exist, and they're happy with everyday life until they die. But humans aren't like that.
Right.
Humans are always wanting to be the best version of themselves.
Right.
And I think that is such a beautiful thing. And if you lose touch with that, you lose your lust for life.
You are so right about that, because I think a lot of people compare themselves to others. They want to be like her or whatever.
And you need role models. You need somebody to tell you can get there.
Exactly. And instead, we need to be the best version of ourselves instead of being like this other person.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge in there, too, is finding out who that is. And the only way to do that is to try, right?
Yes.
Try things.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So in the music industry, obviously, there's a lot of competition. I feel like when you look at pop stars, like, everyone has their own thing going on. People are, like, putting them against each other and stuff. Sometimes there's people song battling with each other.
Yeah, I see that a lot.
Underlying kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so how do you deal with the competition in the industry? How does it make you feel?
I remember at the beginning of my career, my manager at the time told me that was a thing. Like, people always want to find like a grid. Like, people want a grid to put you on. So you're like, this meets this, or you're like in this genre, or you're like. So I was always aware that was a thing, and I don't disagree with that. Like, I think it's easier for me to categorize the things I'm a fan of and recommend things to other people by basing it on other things that exist already.
Right.
So I think it's like a friendly competition, and I think, there was a time a number of years ago where girls girls were pitted against each other a lot more.
What year-ish?
Even a couple years ago.
Okay.
Like, I feel like women haven't supported each other in a long time like they do now. And there's always I remember a few years ago there was always like if there's another female artist, it's kind of like I have to be better than her.
Yeah.
But now it's like you love each other and you support each other, and I've never seen so much support from other female artists than now. And like I've never felt the ability from within myself to support other females like I do now, and I think this is the best thing that could happen because it comes with the move of feminism and all of this, the rebellion against misogyny, and that's especially come up in the last couple of years. And suddenly women are like, we love each other. I love women. Like we need to support each other more than ever. And I'm like, you know, online tweeting about another artist or, you know, like maybe a few years ago, women weren't as inclined to do that.
Right, because they're afraid to lose fans to somebody else.
Afraid to lose fans, or like that you think that you're supposed to be in competition with them, so you can't support them.
Right.
You know, and I don't think it's like that anymore. You know,
it's not changing like that, because if you want both of you to rise, then you both support each other.
And you both can. There's room for everyone. Like as much as, I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. Like we're talking about the 20 slots on top radio. Like there's only so much room, but outside of that, like there's room for everybody, and like a fan can be a fan of so many acts.
That's true.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So has your manager or previous managers, has anyone ever said something about your appearance or the way you need to be or how you need to look? Because obviously the music industry wants women to look sexy, powerful, strong, beautiful, all at the same time, and be thin.
Yeah.
Like, so what's the craziest thing someone has told you about the way that you look or how you need to act?
You know what? I have been fortunate enough not to really be told what to look like or do. I think because I entered the industry with a sense of myself, I don't think anyone wanted to change it. You know, like
because you had your identity already.
Yeah, I had my identity already, and that was what people ultimately started to become a fan of. So it was like, keep doing you kind of thing. I mean, there were times where, in fact, that it was like you almost feel pressure to be cool, like too cool.
Okay, so what does cool mean?
I know,
right?
There were moments in my career where I felt pressure to walk away from the comic world, to like focus more on like the indie rock musician world, like the Pitchfork. Let's try to get attention from the music tastemakers, and like I almost pull my hair out trying to impress those people.
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I love comics. I like gaming. Like I like fantasy worlds, and these are my interests. And like it was so hard to try to be something that would be construed cool by someone who's not into those things. So I was like, there was a moment where I almost tried fitting into like one of those type zones, you know, and it just wasn't for me. I'm just like, who cares if, you know, the attention for my music will come on its own, whether I'm cool or not, you know. I think cool is such a vague term, and it's so lame, and
it changes every year.
You know,
like
you can't
cool
keep trying. You can't keep trying. Like I gotta make my own cool. So this record, like I came back full force with all the things I like, and here we are, right? Like, and I think it's my best work yet, and it's freed my mind in so many ways. So I haven't really experienced anyone telling me to be more sexy. If anything, I've walked myself into that, and I feel like once you feel ownership of your body and you are proud of who you are and you have the sense of like backbone, then you need to walk up there and own it. Like that's when you should embrace your body, you know?
Absolutely. So for a lot of our listeners, some may be going through body image disorders or not be so confident in the skin that they're in. How did you discover, you know, this love you have for your body and for yourself?
Yeah.
I mean, you are just like brimming with confidence, and I love that. And I just want to put it in a bottle and like sell it to people. No, just kidding. I don't want to sell it to people. I want to give it to people.
That's so funny. It's a good question. I mean, I have never been somebody with a big butt and big boobs that was like traditionally gorgeous woman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's always been. Everybody's got body image issues, no matter what shape and size you are. If you have the perfect body, whatever that might be, you still have body image issues. Like, people tell me I'm too thin or that I need to eat a burger. Like, that's the most common thing. What if I'm vegan also? That's offensive. But, like, people always have their opinion of what they think sexy is. So I've learned over time. When I was younger, it affected me more, obviously. But I've learned just to learn to love it. Over time, honestly, checking off the things that I used to hate about myself. I've grown to love. Like, and I remember when I was young, I literally had a list of things I hated about myself, the way I looked. Everybody does. I
Everyone
have subconscious lists like I don't like this. I wish I had a different this. I
Right.
wish it wasn't like this.
Right.
And I guess when you find who you are in things that aren't aesthetic, that's when you can own the things that are. And actually, full body confidence came after I had a baby.
What?
Because you just stop caring. And then suddenly I'm like, I'm capable of these crazy things. Like, I've seen my body do amazing things.
Well, you made a human.
And I made a human.
Yeah.
Like, I started working out, and I felt like I can control myself. And you can see yourself building muscles, and you're like, I can become Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, if I work.
Yeah.
And if you put the work in, like, you can learn to love everything about yourself, for sure.
I love everything that you said. For sure, that when you stop focusing on the aesthetics and you start focusing on all the other things you're made of.
Stop focusing on what you aren't.
What you are, yeah. And also, like, you have a brain, you have your inner beauty, your creativity, your skills. Why do we need to focus on how big our boobs are, how big our butt is?
Yeah,
it's
like little boobs are sick too.
Yeah.
Big boobs are great. I love all butt sizes.
Yeah.
I've learned to love, like, every body type, like, for whatever it might be. It's as long as you own it, like, you're beautiful,
For sure. And then, like, our bodies really are just a physical capsule for us to get through life and do whatever.
100%.
I mean,
keep
it healthy at least, but don't focus on it so much that it becomes something that brings sadness into your life. It's such a waste of energy.
And it really does for a lot of people, and we've all been there, right? And but yeah, like we were saying, you can't focus on what you will never be. Stop looking at that, right? Like, I've learned that over the last couple of years, you focus on what you can be and what you want to be,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now you are also a mother while, like, coming out with Skin and Earth and everything. So how are you juggling family life and career? How do you find that balance or that harmony?
That's what it is. It's balance and taking it a day at a time kind of thing. Making sure everything's in moderation. Like, I'm so busy every day, but I still find time to, like, game when I can. Still find time to, like, teach my daughter. Still find time to, like, do the laundry and make meals, and then tour and do art. Because the thing is you just can't look at the big picture. I think when I was younger, more naive, I'd be like, looking at the next year ahead and losing my mind. But you can't look at that anymore. You have to just look at, like, this is my next week, and this is how I'm going to manage this week, and this is what I'm going to do today, and this is what I need to get done at the end of the day. So as long as that happens, we can have fun, and set my daughter up with something. She does that while I'm working on this. We make lunch, move on to the next thing. It's just time management, man.
It's
hard. It takes experience to learn how to do it.
But you're focusing on it, the present moment, enjoying that, and not looking too far ahead.
Yeah, not looking too far ahead. It's you can't control that.
Because you used to make, like, 5 or 10-year plans, right? Is that what you
used to
and,
like, well, people always tend to ask that in interviews. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan?
I don't like that question.
It's not a good question because you have no idea. Like, and I used to be like, I have to come up with a 5-year plan. Okay, I guess this is what I like to do. And it was always hard for me because I'm like, I have no idea. 5 years ago, whatever's happening right now would have been completely off my radar. So, like, I have a kid and a comic. Like, those are, like,
Yeah,
you never know.
You never know. And I'm always like, do more of what makes you happy and do less of what doesn't. And then it'll end up pushing you in the right direction.
Try things. If you don't like it, don't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Stop planning so far ahead.
Yeah, that's tough. Okay, but in terms of planning your workouts when you are going to be on tour, how do you stay fit? Or is performing going to make you stay fit anyway?
Well, performing is a big one, right? Like, you end up doing an hour of cardio on stage. And
that's
like,
crazy.
Yeah, so that tended to be sort of what I relied on. But then when I had a kid, obviously my metabolism changed. And I was like, okay, I actually need to, like, work out now. I never really did before. And now that I've started, I'm like, wow, I feel amazing.
Well, you look so good.
Thank you.
Gosh.
I just, like, I usually, I'm of the mind that, like, you can't maintain a workout routine that doesn't fit into your life. So you can't do something crazy and expect to make it, to keep going with it. Expect it to last. So I've had to find a little routine that I can do anywhere, that I can do when I'm on the bus, or, like, I can pack a couple little weights, a little bit of dead weight in the suitcase. You manage it. and just do half an hour a day.
Good for
You
you.
can. Yeah, and usually at night. Like some people like to work out in the morning. I can't work out in the morning.
Are you a morning person or night person?
Not at all. Like
Yeah.
I get up at noon.
Yeah,
like
and then what time do you go to bed?
like 3 a.m. So I'll do my workout at like 11
Yeah.
p.m. Have a shower and chill out. Right? Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Creative people tend to be night owls.
Well, yeah. Once you're on tour, like you go on stage at 10:45,
That's
11,
true.
and then your day's just a late day. So my daughter's the same way. She wakes up at 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. with me or noon. And she goes to bed at 2. Like, yeah. You just
my gosh.
find the lifestyle that works and something that you can maintain in your lifestyle.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
And going back to Rocket Wild, what do you think is the one thing that you want to have her grow up and know?
That she can do anything. That she can absolutely do anything. And wear anything and look like anything. And she can get tattoos if she wants. Ride motorcycles. I just want her to have no limitations because even subconsciously we apply limitations to ourselves based on what society expects of us. And I want her to like shun those as well. So just trying to be conscious of that as I wander through life with her.
And what society expectation do you want to completely shatter? What's the most annoying one? I'm sure there's a ton.
I mean, there's still that underlying expectation of boys being able to get away with violence because boys will be boys and girls not really being techie, with the softer jobs. Like, that's still, as much as we fight that, like, it's still kind of underlying exists and it's still integrated into TV and media and a lot of things we see. And I think young boys get away with a lot because, like, he's a boy.
I know.
And, like... You're just a bad person. Like you want to raise a good kid,
right?
Regardless of boy or girl. If a girl did that, it should be bad. Like that's a bad thing. You don't hit somebody. Like
yeah,
you're just a bad person. Like you're being a bad person when you do that. Like you have to be a good person,
right?
No matter what. Like it doesn't matter what gender you are.
Exactly,
good person.
And whether you're hitting someone or not. I remember when I was growing up, because I'm a confident person, but when you're super confident and you're a young girl, people start to call you bossy.
Right, and that's one of the terms I don't use anymore.
I hate that because if
what's wrong with being a boss?
Well, first of all, what's wrong with being a boss? And also, if a boy were acting the same way, they'd be like, he's a visionary, he's a boy. Leader. Yeah. But there's it's so weird that is existing,
and that's a thing. It's like
it is a thing.
I saw my kids like rolling around in a pile of mud, like throwing trucks at people. Boys will be boys. Like no, you gotta get throw your kid. You can't do that. Like, yeah. So I'm conscious of those things that really annoy me, and like even the use of the word tomboy, I wish didn't exist because a girl who happens to like technology or trucks or whatever is now identifying as a boy.
Right.
No, she's just into what she's into. She's not a tomboy. I think that word needs to leave existence.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to stop using that.
And you know what? I used to use it all the time. I used to like being called a tomboy. And I'm like, why do I like being a girl?
Yeah.
And I like being into the things I'm into. Just because I like gaming doesn't mean I'm a boy.
No, you're definitely not.
I'm a woman.
You're a very hot woman. Quick question, just out of curiosity. When you prepare for tour, do you ever do crazy things like sing while on the treadmill?
You know what's so funny?
I just need to know.
It's such a funny thing. And no, definitely but ages ago, I used to read Archie comics.
Yes, I used to read them too.
I loved them. Like it was my thing. And I remember there was one. I'll never forget this. There was like one story where Betty and Veronica were trying out to be a singer in the Archies. And like Betty was just like being a normal singer or whatever, and Veronica had all this crazy training, and I remember there was like an image of her like doing a handstand and singing and all this stuff. And because both of them wanted to spend time with Archie, right?
Right.
And then they both auditioned, and Veronica ended up getting the gig because she was such a good vocalist after all her training, and she was all like, I got the gig. And then it like pulls back and she's in the studio doing vocals, and Betty's out with Archie or whatever. Anyway, I always remember that, and I was always like, wonder if doing a headstand and singing would make me a better singer, but it doesn't.
Wait, did you actually try?
I've tried all of it. But
oh my God, you have!
It's hard and annoying. It doesn't do anything. So
it, like, compress
I was like, whoever drew that, like, just made stuff up.
Weren't a singer. They had no idea.
I think the only way to really prepare for tour is to rehearse. So we rehearse this band as much as we can, and then to get out there and do shows. You know, that's the only way you really become a better singer.
I love that. I love that. Okay, and then final question. What do you think makes a Shiro?
Vision and the ability to put the work in. Being able to blast past what people expect of you, whether or not you're a girl, right?
Right.
People will have their expectations on you, and just if you know where you're headed, you put the work in and you'll blow your own mind.
Oh, I love that so much. I love that so much. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Sheroic podcast. Lights, you are amazing.
This is so fun.
I'm completely inspired by you. And quickly let everybody know when you're going to start your tour and when things are going to drop.
Issue 1 of Skin and Earth is out. Issue 2 comes out in August, and every issue following will be every month. Album comes out in the fall. The tour starts in the fall with Paris. There's lots to look forward to. I'm putting out a couple of songs leading up with each of these issues to the album as well. So lots more music coming out as well.
I'm actually really excited to see how you're going to market and release everything together. I think it's just
been like
genius.
A complete no man's land trying to figure this out.
No, it's
never been done.
It's absolutely genius, and I so respect that about you, like as a buesswoman, as a visionary. So it's been an honor to have you on.
You're the best.
Oh,
I love you.
Let's hug.
You're the best.
You're so sweet. Thank you so much for tuning in, and don't forget, be Sheroic.